Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have Peter B joining us on the show. He's going to join us from, please don't try to join us now, please. We want to make room for him. He's going to join us from Boston. He just delivered a talk at Harvard University. And from there, he's going to go and have a meeting with Nigerians, kind of a thank you tour. He's meeting Nigerians in Boston. And tomorrow he will be in New Jersey to meet some Nigerian supporters of the party. He has about an hour to join us and have a conversation with us. For those who may not know Peter B, if there are people who do not know him, let's watch a little bit of a profile of Peter B.
When he was just a governor of Anambra State, a small state in eastern Nigeria, he used to say that the society that we abuse today will take its revenge on our children. He used the first 4 years as governor to stabilize Anambra State. It was only in his second term that he began to gain the attention of a few people outside the state. As the only APGA governor and a close ally of Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, he strolled along the treacherous political arena of the southeast with dignified ease. By the time that he made a speech at the platform in 2016, a speech that is equivalent to the one Barack Obama made in Boston at the Democratic Party's convention in 2004, his name, Peter Obi, had been catapulted into national prominence and a household name amongst the young and educated elite in Nigeria. When he stood before his kinsmen to declare his intention to run for president in March 2022, nothing could have prepared him for the ride he would have, while the rest of Nigeria warmed up to him and cheerfully carried him on their heads and shoulders. The people of Anambra already knew him. He was Okute, the former governor whom all the 177 traditional rulers in Anambra State unanimously confer the title Okute. His name is Peter Gregory Onwubuasi Obi. Obi was born on the 19th of July 1961 in the business city of Onitsha, where he continues to live and work till date. He attended Christ the King College, Onitsha, where he completed his secondary school education. He was admitted to the University of Nigeria in 1980, graduated with a BA Honours in Philosophy in 1984. Peter Obi attended Lagos Business School, where he completed the Chief Executive Program, Harvard Business School, the London School of Economics, Columbia Business School, and the International Institute for Management Development, where he received certificates in the Senior Executive Program and the Chief Executive Officer Program. He also attended the Kellogg School of Management and Northwestern University, the Business School of Oxford University, and the George Business School of Cambridge University. He describes himself as a mere trader.
Senior brother is even more intelligent because he's a professor, I'm a trader, so he knows more, so he will be able to do things better than I'm doing it. You know, I've done my little own as a trader. Now the professor is there.
This is despite his exploits from boardrooms to politics, where he left a trail of verifiable track records to which he always referred his opponents to with his Go and Verify anthem.
I left the National Bank of Nigeria, $50 billion, $1 billion for the state. The bank is there, you can go and verify.
Being a businessman, resilience was second nature to him. But in 2003, his political resilience was tested when Chris Ngige was declared winner of the gubernatorial election. Obi went to court, and in 2006, the election of Chris Ngige was nullified and Obi was declared winner of the 2003 election. He assumed office in March 2006. He was impeached in November the same year by the Anambra State House of Assembly. However, his impeachment was overturned and he returned to office in February 2007. He was removed again after the 2007 Anambra State gubernatorial election, but the judiciary again intervened by ruling that he should be allowed to complete a full 4-year term. In 2010, He was re-elected to a second term, and this time, he served full term. In this current dispensation, it was uniquely refreshing that in the Nigerian political arena full of certificate forgers, ex and current criminals, and men and women with an opaque past, the only talking points that Peter Obi's opponents could hold on to was that his statistics were sometimes off, that he said he had only one pair of shoes and one watch, and they found two, and that he called a church leader and canvassed for vote in the infamous, illegally obtained and leaked "Yes Daddy" audio. In 2023, 20 years after his first election appeal, Obi went back in court to challenge the process of the presidential election he said he won.
Let me reiterate and assure you that good people of Nigeria that we will explore all legal and peaceful options to reclaim our mandate.
The case was dismissed by the Supreme Court, but the support he received has continued. In rejecting the ruling of the Supreme Court, Peter Obi argued that the court had failed the people of Nigeria this time.
We won the election and we will prove it to Nigerians.
The former governor vowed to stay around and be the opposition to the government in power, which he considered illegitimate. As he used to say as governor, when the premise of an argument is wrong, the conclusion is also wrong. The conclusion of Mr. Peter Obi's first attempt at the presidency is that he has just started. His fight against what he calls the structure of criminality has only begun. For taking a party that got only 5,000 votes in 2019 to 6 million votes in 2023, he had done something that no politician has been able to do in Nigeria. His enduring mantra says, "Go and verify," irrespective of what the future holds for him. If he does not personally move Nigeria from consumption to production, someone else will have to do so. And someone else has to cut the cost of governance that he once legendarily did in Anambra State for 8 years, after which he saved millions of dollars for the state. And until these ideals that Peter Obi based his 2023 campaign becomes the norm, even his fervent opponents would agree that Nigeria will continue to flounder. Even those critics of his who say Peter Obi would never be president find out as soon as they say so that there is a thing hanging around their neck.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to our show, His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi. Welcome. Please unmute yourself. We can hear you, sir.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We're glad to have you. We've been waiting, and a lot of people have been waiting to talk to you.
So I sincerely apologize. Today has been very, very bad for me. You know, I have an event, a speaking engagement in Harvard, but leaving from Newark to Boston, I missed my flight twice, you know, because of complications at the airport. So, you know, I missed my flight. First, I was at a different boarding gate. They didn't announce it, and I went from another boarding gate. By the time I could be able to change my ticket, I missed the second one. I missed the third one. So that took me, a program that was supposed to end by 2 just ended. But I was happy the students were able to wait, and I apologize to them for what happened. You know, thank you.
That's very good. We are glad that you're here. I don't know how much time you have with us, but let's start. I will ask you a few questions.
Okay.
This actually for my audience, my panelists and people who watch this show for more than a year, 18 months, I calculated it. They've been waiting for you to come on this program. So
No. I don't think it's up to that.
No,
Okay.
August 2022 on Adiola's show, you said you were coming. Yeah. So let's get to that. The first thing is this. A lot of people want to know whether you are the leader of the Labour Party. Are you the leader of the Labour Party?
Well, you know, I don't. For me, I don't see what I do in politics as being leader of any place or not. My position is that, just like I always say, I'm not desperate to be president of Nigeria. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work, because I know it can work. Same thing is what I'm desperate to see all the parties be the way parties should be, where things are done in an organized manner. For me, that is the most critical thing. Whoever, yes, you can call me leader of Labour Party, because that's what the party said. But most importantly is to see things function in an organized manner. We have a more desperate situation. Parties are just a means to be able to contest election. What is important is that being a leader of a party does not reduce the price of food. What I want to see is that the average Nigerian lives in a society where things are moving properly, there's access to education, there's access to health, and there's a means of livelihood of the people.
Now, your supporters look at what's going on in the party, Labour Party, and they wonder why is it that you don't exert yourself and get it into order? Because they see you as the leader of the party. That's why I asked whether you are the leader. You see yourself that way?
Well, quite frankly, they're wrong. I'm not in control of the party. And I don't think whatever is happening in the party is so minute to what is happening in the country. So for me, it's something that we will resolve and resolve very amicably. And it's not anything to worry about. Let's worry about the country. Let's worry about how the average Nigerian will have a means of livelihood, be able to eat. That should be our worry.
Now, you've said several times that you are not desperate to be president of Nigeria, but you are desperate to see Nigeria work. And people wonder, and one of them is one of our panelists here. His name is Chim. You will meet him later. He said something like, if you are desperate to see Nigeria work, that you should be desperate and ready to actually die for Nigeria. Are you willing to die for Nigeria? I hear you say in different platforms that things you're going through after the election, what you're dealing with. Are you ready to die for Nigeria?
I'm sure that you haven't seen people do what I'm doing today. When I was campaigning, I was the only person who campaigned in every part of Nigeria. I was in Southern Kaduna, I was in Southern Borno, I was in Southern Gombe, I was in different places, I was in Newman, everywhere. I would do the same thing everywhere I go. So you could see where I campaigned in different areas of Nigeria that people never before campaigned. So I don't know what else people use to measure somebody who is committed to Nigeria.
You are committed and you are ready to risk your life for Nigeria. Is that?
I've probably done more than that. And today, if I'm not committed, I won't be doing what I'm doing in opposition.
All right. Your party chairman, Aburek, was here on our show and we talked to him. We asked him several questions. One of them was, did he see the result as tabulated by Labour Party, your own party, your own result from your agents? He said, yeah, that you have it. And he promised to show us the result. We haven't received it. I wanted to know whether you saw the result and what was it like?
Quite frankly, if you ask me, somebody asked me something like that, but privately about a few days ago, I told him the last election is gone. And I don't want the highest court of the land, even when I don't agree with them, have put a finality to the last election. So let's look at the future. I don't want to be talking about last election. I want to be looking at the future. And that's why I said my desperation is to see Nigeria work.
Okay, let's look at the future. But before we do that, there's another question that people are raising, which is accounts about the finances, especially people that donated money to the party. Do we have the accounts? Is it public? Because people still don't seem to have seen it.
Well, the party account is not under my control. We've said we are going to appoint external auditor, and that we have appointed. So if the external auditor comes up with their work tomorrow, any day they come out with it, we'll make it public. Monies were received by different groups and different places. And we have said people who receive money should account for it. You've seen one of the campaign accounts was managed by Aisha Yusuf. She's come public, accounted for it. And that is at all levels, even support groups. We have asked them, if you know you collected funds from anybody, account for it. It's necessary. I'm going to go around to everywhere we've been, where we think people made donation, to say thank you. And if I receive their contribution, I'll let them know. If I didn't, I'll also let them know, so they will know who they gave it to and go and ask that question. And that must be, because if we are talking about accountability when we go into office, we should start by accounting for the small resources. But I can tell you, whatever we received was judiciously applied. That's why we achieved what we were able to achieve. But whatever it is, we need to account to those who supported us. It is critical, whether they supported us in material, in cash, or in anything, we need to account for it.
All right. There's an election coming in Edo State for governor, and you have a candidate from Labour Party. I have a question. What are you putting in place to make sure that what happened in the presidential election will not repeat itself in Edo State?
Well, what are we going to put in place? We are not in charge of anything. The only thing we can do is to continue to say, let's do the right thing, advocacy, and ask people to mind their boots, their this and everything. We can't do more than that. We're not going to carry gun. We don't have access to gun. We don't have access to, we're not going to kill people because we want to serve the people. We're just going to do the right thing.
But is that all? Because some people were wondering, one of the things that didn't work out well in the last election was that you don't have agents everywhere. Labour Party didn't.
We're going to have agents everywhere. We actually are supposed to have agents everywhere. It is a difficult thing. The last election, I said, is past. What it is that there's a lot of issues that made us to be in that situation. And it was just our first attempt. We're more organized in the future.
So you're assuring Nigerians that you will have agents in Edo everywhere, in all the polling units?
I believe so. Yes, we have no reason. In the last election, we even have agents everywhere in Edo.
Okay.
I don't want to say where we didn't have agents.
Okay. All right. One more question from me before I let our people come in, because I don't know how much time you have for us. But the question is, if you were announced as the winner of the election last time and you were sworn in, you will have declared your assets for Nigerians to, and I believe people who know you, they believe that you will have made it public. Am I right?
Well, yes. Let me tell you, yes, it's mandatory for you to declare your assets. But where we are now, it's also necessary to do so public. Even if we have not been doing it in the past, things have changed. We now need to do things differently. And I believe we need to do things differently. Even when I tell people that when I was campaigning, that I'm not going to dwell so much on the past, even when I'm looking for fighting corruption and everything. We will be able maybe ask one or two questions about the past, but our focus would have been on today and tomorrow.
Now, people who know you, they say that you will have done it publicly and that, you will make other people working with you to do the same thing.
Yes.
Will you be able to tell us, Nigerians today, ballpark figure of what your assets look like?
No, I can't because I'm not in office.
Yeah, I know you're not in office, but that would be a change. That would be something.
No. It's not necessary. All I tell people is that I'm not a poor man. And whatever I have is by his grace, is God, And I've done one thing. I've challenged anybody to say, show me where I stole public money. I was governor for 8 years. And in 8 years, when I left office, everybody, including that I left over $150 million and over 30 billion naira. What else do I need to say to prove that I'm not, say, a thief? Because no thief have seen what he can steal and keep it. People go into church and steal telephone because they came to church to worship. But because it's in their nature, it's part of them, and they do that. So the same thing, nobody asked me to save money. I was not under pressure. I was not under anything. I did it on my own.
Your critics, they say things like, when things are good, that you don't talk about it, you don't tweet about it, like the Naira. The Naira is gaining against the dollar and other currencies. That Dangote refinery is about to start producing, or is producing, that, that things are looking up, that you only pick on bad stories out of Nigeria. What do you say to that?
I tweeted, we'll go and check when they inaugurated Dangote. I tweeted about it. Go and look at it. I tweeted about it and I said the implication. I don't need to be tweeting about it every day. On issue of the Naira, where was the rate before? Where did we get now? What is the implication? Of course, you make comments on it when you look at what is happening. You see me make comments on the Naira and what people think it is this. I'll make comments on it. I don't tweet always when things are bad. My role is to say things the way they are.
Okay, I agree. We'll bring people in, and if I bring you in, remember, I will share the link. One question straight to the to your question, and then we will get to as many people as possible before he goes. We don't have a lot of time. I have several other questions for him, but we are short of time. So let me bring in the people that are already in the studio, and then we will go from there. Please, just your question. I'll start with you, Pastor.
Yeah, thank you, Rudolph. Thank you, Mr. Your Excellency. I'll go straight to my question. You campaign on transparency, accountability, and verifying or verification. The $30,000 allegedly, I'll use the word allegedly, given to the senators by Akpabio in respect to the pardon. Is this true? Is it false? $30,000 that was given to the senators by Akpabio. Is it true?
I don't know about which 30,000. Over what?
Rudolph, do you mind weighing in into it?
Okay, so there's this story out there that the senators received money to pass the budget, all the senators in Nigeria, and average was 30,000. I think what he's getting to, okay, go ahead. So they didn't deny that they received money. Some of them received more than $30,000. I think the question that Pastor is asking is whether you heard about it, and I'm guessing that what about the Labour Party senators? What did you say when you heard that?
Quite frankly, I didn't follow up on that. I didn't know about they're being given money to pass the budget. I heard about budget being padded, budget being done this. I've heard about buying them vehicles, which I condemned, in every ramification, even when Labour Party people were involved. And I keep telling people, It's just like what you asked me at the beginning about the issue of
leadership.
Leadership of the party. I said I'm not in control. I don't have powers to sack Abure, employ him. Neither do I have powers to sack anybody. Just like I don't have powers to tell the labor legislators what are they going to do. You see, people must understand one thing. There's a difference between when you're in charge and when you're not. Let me go back to my former party, ABGA. When I became governor, during my time, I was contesting the election. ABGA was engulfed in similar situation we find ourselves in Labour. And that was the situation when I became governor. I don't know if you know, it became like that for a long time. It didn't stop me from doing what I want to do as a governor, because I was in charge. I could sack a commissioner, I could keep a commissioner, I could question a civil servant, I could do this. There's so many. I had the power to do what I wanted to do. I answered a similar question today in Harvard, that when you are in charge, you can decide, like I said, I can fight corruption head on. I can decide this is not going to happen. Legislators, I'm not going to buy you this type of car because I have the similar situation. Traditional people are not going to use this type of facilities because this is going to happen. But when you're not in charge, what people do is that just like they say, oh, if he can't manage party, how is he going to manage Nigeria? I'm not party chairman. I don't have any role in the party. I didn't manage ABGA as governor, but I managed Anambra State because I was in charge. I was the person who knew what is the right thing to do and pursued it. People say, oh, if you can't manage legislators, how will I manage them? I can only preach to them. Rudolph is like you now. I can't manage. People say, oh, if you can't control Rudolph, who is your friend? As you're my friend. How can you control this? No, it's not the same thing. I can only preach to you. I can only, persuade you to do the right thing. It's a different thing when I am in charge. You cannot decide this is the way I want things to go.
All right, let's leave it at that. Let's go to the next person's show. You're next.
All right. Thank you, Rudolph, and good evening, Mr. Peter Obi. Thank you for joining us today. My question to you is, and I believe it's a question that might be relevant, for years to come while you remain active in politics. My question to you is, currently today in Nigerian, political space, are there political actors or gladiators that you consider, a step too far, that, even if it means it takes you closer to office, to Aso Rock, that you will not work with, based on what you know of them, based on what they stand for, based on who they are? Are there people that you would say, regardless of what this will bring me, I will not work with these people because I know them and I know what they stand for?
I won't call their name, but there's so many of them.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Of course, there's so many characters you will never have near you because they don't believe in anything. They are part of the confusion and they will never change.
Thank you.
So why would you want to bring them near you?
Thank you very much. That answers my question.
I answer people today. People would have been surprised about the team that I have assembled. But they will know that this team have come to work.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Sure.
Thank you.
Let's go to Chim. You are next.
Thank you, Rudolph. Good day, Mr. Obi. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Even though Rudolph has tried to malign me slightly before you. All right, my question is this. I know you've tried to answer it in a certain way, but I'm still not very satisfied. So, bear with me. So we know that we run a presidential system of government, and you have declared yourself to be an opposition leader based off the outcome, and you want to help hold those in government to account. Now, I guess the thing is, a lot of people, with the way they believe, see you as somebody of influence, believe that a lot of your Labour Party members of the National Assembly actually won their elections in part to your influence, in part to the fact that people believed in you and so voted for those people. Now, the frustration a lot of people have, including me, is that you're saying you're not in charge. But some people believe that we're not asking you to use a gun or use a whip and beat people, but rather to use that influence to inform the way your members of National Assembly vote, such that when they see that credibility, perhaps it will be a carryover into 2027 to help to say, okay, this is what we missed when we did not get a Peter Obi and a majority LP in National Assembly. So if you're unable to do this, I mean, what do you say when people say that you're not bearing your influence in Labour Party? That's my question.
The only thing I can tell them is two things. Let me, even before I answer it, and tell you that quite a number of Labour Party legislators are doing the right things. If you follow them, quite a number of them. But that notwithstanding, I've governed the state with 30 members. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I've governed the state with 30 members, not from my party. Who knows what I'm talking? And I was able to do what I want to do. Return school when I had no single member from my party. Been able to empower hospitals owned by voluntary agencies without a single member from my party, and took other decisions. I still maintain the only thing I can do is to continue to preach and urge them to do the right thing. Other than that, it does not in any way shows, it's like saying because my brother or my sister or my wife or my children is a thief. God forbid, I am. You cannot do that. I cannot say because Rudolph's brother is an addict, then Rudolph is. And Rudolph cannot control him. You persuade, you do whatever is possible to tell them to do the right thing. But it is a different thing if Rudolph have power to say to this person, if you do this, this will happen. If you do this, this will happen. That's when you test and say, this person can do this. I did it when I was being impeached. I still took those decisions because I was in charge. And I said, this is what I want, and it must happen. I say every day that I'm going to fight corruption. And people say to me, how? I say, when the person in charge is not stealing, his wife and children are not. Listen, if you know, my brother was impeached. Go and read my three reasons why I was impeached. My first impeachment. One was for cutting the cost of renovating my office. Two was cutting the cost of renovating my lodge. Number three was for saving money. I still continued with saving after my impeachment. I returned because I was in charge. But it's difficult to go and tell somebody else whom probably don't know what the circumstances and everything. You, of course, you talk. And I can tell you, they are different today. Other legislators, they might not be to the level you want them to be, but it's a gradual process. Just like I tell obedience and everything. Not in a sprint race, we're in a marathon race. That change is what we'll continue to preach until everybody abides by it.
All right. Thank you, Chim. Let's go to Mr. James in the Gambia. James, Eunice.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. I'm sure you can hear me.
I can hear you very well.
Thank you. During the last election, I was a bit disappointed that 4 presidential candidates went to Chatham House in London. Mr. Bola Tinubu, Atiku, yourself, and Kwankwanso. Considering the fact that we are really under the influence, there's so much foreign interference in the internal affairs of Nigeria. Considering also the fact that these are the same colonialists who colonized us for 400, who subjected us to 400 years of slavery. May we please know the kind of things you discussed with these men at Chatham House behind the scene, because it's not what we see on the television alone that transpired. That is the question.
Categorically, I did not discuss anything with anybody behind the scene. And when they arrived, I actually arrived UK that morning, did my presentation and left at night. And there was no discussion. I even answered it when I was talking to Harvard people today. Now, we have no reason to have foreign intervention or foreign influence in our country. And I'm one person who insists it shouldn't be.
All right. Thank you, Mr. James. Tone, you're next.
Hello, Your Excellency. Thank you for being here today. Right. My question is, we witnessed all what happened in the last election, regrettably, and we're preparing for 2027. In view of the fact that we all saw the role of the INEC, of INEC rather, and the judiciary, nothing must have changed. So what's the assurance that is not even going to get worse in 2027? What is the Labour Party doing to prepare ourselves for these 2 agencies? Because obviously, clearly, the judiciary is has not done very well, and INEC as well.
Well, my take in it is that my guess is as good as your guess. We're doing everything possible to ensure it does not happen again. They're not entirely what I'll answer here. We're not going to shoot people. We're not going to kill anybody, but we're doing everything possible to ensure that it doesn't happen again. And I urge Nigerians to also get involved. Just like I tell the youth, it is about your future. We'll get involved in a civilized, civil manner to ensure that it does not happen again.
All right. Thank you, Tone. Flagship, you're next.
Thank you, Rudolph. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, Governor Obi. It's a pleasure to meet you. It is said that the strength of any nation is measured by how well it takes care of its people, most especially the vulnerable.
Yes.
The village of Okwama in Ughelli South local government of Delta State recently had a sad event. Unfortunately, we lost most of our gallant men in the process, and a couple of people in the community as well. It's over 3 weeks now, and it seems like the people there that have been displaced have been forgotten about. This week, the Vanguard newspaper published some photos which showed the women, old women, young women, and kids that are living in the forest around Okwama village. My question is this: if you were the commander-in-chief, what kind of leadership would you have provided, and how would you have made sure that both parties that are aggrieved, both parties meaning the military and the innocent citizens in Nigeria, are brought back to their community to continue their lives as it were?
If you have followed me in Twitter, I was very clear on this. I condemned completely the killing of our soldiers. We cannot have people who are sacrificing their life for us to live killed in that manner. And at the same time, I condemned the reaction of the military. Two wrongs cannot make a right. And the people who are now suffering are people who have, in my own estimation, nothing to do with the killing. They should not be subjected to that. That's why we have a society. I would have even physically visited the place, see things for myself, be able to bring everybody. I know the pain of this military, but I know the suffering of the people. That is why you're in charge. This has to be done. A mistake has happened. This has gone wrong. But it will not be for us to do things that should not be found in a civilized modern world of today. I think I'm appealing that those people from the village be brought back, rehabilitated. I'm advocating that Nigerians should not live in IDP camps, talking of forests, when we are not at war. I've gone to IDP camps in Benue and other parts of Nigeria, and I said people should not live outside there when we are not at war.
All right, thank you, Flagship. And let's go to Jegun. Jegun, you're next.
I'm not hearing you.
Oh, Jegun, we can't hear you. Unmute yourself, please.
Pleasure to meet you, Mr. Peter Obi.
Thank you.
We are all behind you, even at this time. I hope you still feel that. Two really small questions. Well, one small and one medium, if I may. The first question I have is about leadership. Leadership in Nigeria, right across the board, is extremely poor. I would like to ask you, firstly, if you were not the candidate, if you are not running, and we're glad you are also, don't get me wrong, excuse me for being a bit obtuse, but if you were not running for the presidency, who would you vote for? That's my first one.
Well, I don't know how I'm going to answer that. It's too controversial.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I felt it might be a bit obtuse, but as I said, we're all looking for leadership, and I would just like to see where your eyes were if anybody else could do the kind of job you're doing in your estimation.
There's quite a number of Nigerians who can do the job and do it well.
Fair enough, sir.
You know,
the second one
of them, but at this stage, I don't need to mention. As I said, I'm not desperate to be president, but I'm desperate to see Nigeria work. And I'll support Nigerians who are competent, who are qualified. For me, at this stage where we are, we must look for the best. People
Indeed.
with credibility, people with character, people who are competent, people who have the capacity, and people who have compassion. It is important. We can't
I respect that.
Where we are now, where it is everything fits.
Yes, sir. Something a bit deeper, if I may. Global geopolitics and the configuration of the world today, and the fact that we're ever headed into the future. Does Nigeria stand a chance of catching up in real terms, and not in glowing terms of glorification, in real terms, in your most curt analysis of the situation?
Very easy. That's not Nigeria and Africa stands the chance of catching up because you have so much resources.
Mm.
You have so much resources.
The reason I said geopolitics, I beg your pardon, sorry. The reason why I said geopolitics, because I'm speaking about what is going on outside of Africa that is holding Africa back. And I don't mean that as a piecemeal. I mean, there are strategies outside of Africa that are working against Africa. That's the geopolitics.
That's what I said before, that we have a chance of catching up. In fact, like I said, this was a question I answered today. Nigeria has no reason for anybody to hold it back. It is this elite, the drivers of our continent today, mostly, I'm not saying all, the drivers of Nigeria today, which has meant the political class, are mainly people occupied by people who have since passed their destination and must leave the stage so that people can come, people who have ideas, vision, and commitment. For example, if I use Nigeria, we have no reason to be held back by anybody. We have all the resources, God-given resources, to be able to determine our future. We don't have nothing to do with AIDS. You've seen me condemn that Ukraine gave Nigeria grain. How can a country at war be giving us grain? Ukraine have 603,000 square kilometers of land space. Northern Nigeria is bigger than Ukraine. Just northern Nigeria. And we have the same arable land as they have. Can grow the same grain they're giving us. But because 60-70% of their land is cultivated and productive, when 60-70% of all is uncultivated and unproductive. Yes, things you do, they will know you're serious.
All right. Thank you so much, Jagun. Eagles Air, you're next. We can't hear you, Eagles Air. Can you unmute yourself if you're muted? All right, we have to skip you. You can come back again. Janaba, you're next.
So can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
All right, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. God bless you, Mr. Peter Opute. Good evening from India.
Good evening.
Please, there's something that bothers me. I want to ask a question, and that thing I'm troubled about it is what convention the convention Labour Party had in Newi. And in that convention, we are made to know that they are not there. LSOT is not there. And the Labour Union leader are not there. TUC are not there. So, and since that time, I have not seen you make a comment of concerning that convention that bring Julius Abure back again as the leadership. And the Labour Party and TUC say, no, they are not part of it. Even INEC said that they are not there when this thing was conducted. So what is your take? Because this means that they're going to affect you in future. So what is your take towards the convention that happens? And your stand in Labour Party concerning future?
If you have followed me, I've said it repeatedly, that from the onset, I said there's a lot of consultation that needs to happen. And that whatever happens in Labour, we will resolve it with a lot of consultation. There are not things I want to make public, but I'm of the opinion I didn't go because I believe there was not enough consultation and things would have been done differently. But in it, you called me leader. I'm a father. There are things when I have children and everybody will disagree. We manage it. What is happening in Labour Party today? It goes, it's not up to 5% of what is happening in other parties. So we manage it and everything. And remember, whoever is this or that in the party, it's not a problem is how to solve the huge Nigerian problem. But with party on, we will amicably solve it going along.
All right. Thank you, Eagles. Let's go to Janaba. Janaba, come on, you're next.
All right. Governor Peter Obi, welcome to the show. Thank you. My question is simple. Nigeria is like a broken, has a broken engine. Do you want to be the driver or you be the mechanic?
The mechanic. Because when you fix it, then again, most mechanics are qualified drivers. Then you can drive. But the first is to fix it. And I want to fix it. And to fix it is not very difficult. To fix it is to focus on good governance. To focus, for example, what is difficult in Nigeria? Feeding itself. Nigeria can make more money from agriculture than we make from oil. And we have vast uncultivated land in the north. And that will give us food. That will drive inflation down. That will help our manufacturing. And that will help our export, which we will use genuinely to manage the foreign exchange rate.
All right. Thank you, Janaba.
Thank you.
Alaba, you are next. Oh, no. Hold on, Alaba. I think it's Forefathers. Forefathers, you are next.
Thank you, Dr. Rudolph. Greetings, Peter Obi. Thank you for joining us here today. I really appreciate the work you are doing in Nigeria. My question is going to be layered. It's basically two questions. I was on a panel with you last year when you agreed with me that that security is paramount in any nation. And, you know, Switzerland as a nation stopped fighting wars 200 years ago. And Switzerland has more bunkers today than Nigeria has soldiers. Switzerland's population versus their soldiers is 1 to 50, while Nigeria's is 1 to over 1,000. And the question is that your policy, your manifesto indicates that you are looking to change Nigeria's security posture. In other words, to raise our manpower level to around 2 million. Which includes the military, the police, and other security aspects of the country. But since the election, I have not heard much about it, even if 4,700 people have been kidnapped, not to mention other aspects of insecurity in Nigeria. And the reason why I'm asking is I'm puzzled why you went quiet about that security issue, because historically, if you look at it, if your nation is not secure, everything else you're building it on sand, and the warning is always there on the wall. And the second question that is layered on this is that why is it that our people are not aware of this, that we are supposed to protect ourselves? Is it because these our leaders are the ones that were groomed by the colonizers, that they don't seem to understand that we are a separate people that have to protect themselves?
Thank you, Forefathers.
Thank you. Thank you, Forefathers. Forefathers, if you have been following me, you would have seen that nobody has spoken about insecurity more than me. And it's even one of the reasons why I said I'm always bringing up bad news, which you know I'm not bringing up bad news. The bad news is there. I didn't create them. Mine is to bring it to government in case if they have not seen it. Forefathers have spoken, I've said the first job of government is to secure its people. And it's critical and it's fundamental. And Nigeria can do that because it's a country. You can't have a country taken over by non-state actors and you're looking. That means the state has collapsed. If the state is functional, you provide security. And to do so, all that you require is to start, like I said, raise the manpower. We can have 200 million people, and our police is about 300 and something thousand, out of which you know that 20-30% of that are different breeds. You can't have the level of number of military we have. You need to raise it. Egypt, 100 million people, have over 1 million. So we should raise it, train them properly, pay them properly. We also have a lot of money we are spending on security. We should spend it wisely by making sure we have the manpower, equip them properly, take issue of security as priority number one. Because you can't be going about talking about attracting foreign investor where it's not secured. You need to put your farmers to go back to produce this food I'm talking. They can't go in an insecurity situation. At the same time, you need to create environment for people to have means of livelihood. Because the more unemployed people are, the more poor people are, the more you have insecurity. The more you put people out of poverty, the more you reduce criminality. It's happened in South America. It's happened in Asian countries. These things I'm talking have happened everywhere. This security you're seeing in Nigeria today is also occasioned by the general level of poverty that has excavated it. So these are things you need to fight in very aggressive manner at multi-levels and different fronts. So I believe you, we all need to deal with insecurity. Otherwise, we're wasting our time.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Dami, the second question.
No. Thank you for fathers. Alaba, you're next.
Yeah, greetings, Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi.
Thank you.
I'll go straight to my question. All political parties in Nigeria and most politicians, 99%, have no clear philosophical political ideology. Neither are they principled. Nigeria needs a revolutionary change, revolution of the mind first. In light of this, what are you? Are you a revolutionary, a reactionary, a progressive, or whatever other vocabulary you might have? The recalcitrant nature of the Nigerian people requires that, apart from you said preaching to them, requires that what tools do you have in your arsenal, apart from the Labour Party, that you can add to what you're currently doing to empower the people? Building boreholes is good, but building media, radio station, TV station to start a massive movement, particularly abroad, supported by those at home, to effectively have the right numbers that we need to effectively make a change in this very deep and sad situation that we are in. So that's my question. What other arsenal is in your tool? Because working with the Labour Party, I personally believe you should do more. You should be a movement, because there's a lot of people who share your philosophy or ideology, which you're going to tell us what it is now, and want to join up with you. We're not harnessing those numbers. What else can you do to do that?
Alaba, I have actually answered the question which you asked, but I agree with you. There's need to do it. That what you said I should do is what Rudolph is doing already, and I'm participating in it.
We need more.
No, yes, I agree. We need more. Being in opposition, my brother, is very difficult in Nigeria. Extremely difficult. You can do what you're doing because you're not there. You're harassed. Your business is harassed. Your family is harassed. Everything around you is harassed. If I tell people what I'm going through, or members of my family is going through, the only thing you can say is, Peter, stop this. Because that's what it is. Because it's a state capture. The winner takes everything and makes sure that you don't move. I have friends today who will not take my call, who don't want to come to their house, who will be doing occasion and call you and say, Peter, I'm doing this, but I don't want you to come. You know why? And I can tell you, it's so painful. Happens virtually every day. People say to you, I'm doing this. Today is my birthday. My wife is inviting people privately, but I don't want you to come. And people who might send just birthday greeting, they won't reply me. They use somebody's other phone and call me and say, we saw your this, but we can't reply because if we reply you, these people will know because they're taping everything about you. That's not a normal life. And these are people who are supposed to stay and say no. I've been at the airport, at a gathering, I want to greet somebody, will not greet me. These are people I used to be in my private life as a businessman or bank. We all used to meet together as directors and say, they won't greet you. They're using somebody's else phone to call you, or they'll tell you, say, let's meet somewhere overseas. That's not a normal life. So to go through this is painful enough. This interview I'm doing, like every other interview, your call, your question, that you're there talking. Didn't you see now? Rudolph started by saying, I bring only bad news. Tell me which news that I brought that is not there before.
No, it's not, Governor, it's not Rudolph that said it, it's your critics. That's what they're saying.
Today, I advocated for one thing. When I was speaking to students, I said, we need to dismantle, change the presidential system we operate in. And because it's not appropriate for us, we need a mix of presidential and parliamentary democracy. So we can have the president, the governor, an elected person who will be answerable to the people. So when we have the presidential questions time, like we have prime minister presidential questions time, say in France or in UK, the president or the governor is the one answering. Today, if you elect me president, I will recruit 1,000 special assistants. If Rudolph says anything, or you, Alaba, said anything, I will unleash them. They will be calling you all sorts of names, calling your wife, calling your children. People who did not elect, who had nothing to do with it, have turned themselves into lunatics, harassing everybody. But if we had a presidential question time, and also to enable us to pass vote of no confidence or confidence when the person is doing well or not doing well. We can't just elect somebody and say he has to wait till after 4 or 5 years to go. No. These are things parliamentary system can solve. So I'm an advocate. You said, which philosophy do I believe in? Or which is this? I stand for good governance.
Does that make you a revolutionary, a reactionary, or a progressive?
I'm not a reactionary. You can have a mix of progressive and a bit of revolutionary. Not revolutionary where we start damaging things and causing problems. We can do it by building a change of mind. We want to change the people's perception and conception of life in Nigeria's fault. We cannot live in a society where we celebrate criminality, because that's what we're doing today. Whether it's in politics, out of politics, because it's not only in politics that we have problem in Nigeria. We have problem even in private world, where people think today I'm not doing anything, but there's a possibility that something can happen and money will come from nowhere. It doesn't happen anywhere in the world.
All right. Thank you, Alaba. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I appreciate you answering my question. Thank you.
All right. Before we continue, let me take one from the comment section. Someone wanted to know whether you still believe in the judiciary in Nigeria, based on what happened during the last election.
Well, it is an ongoing process. You can't say you don't believe in them, because at the end of the day, they are there. You can say, yes, I believe in them. After all, I'm one of the greatest beneficiaries of the judiciary. It worked in the past, and it can be made to work again. What we have today is state capture, where people who captured it across the line are doing whatever they want. They've hijacked the institutions, but it can be strengthened.
All right, and Ndubisi.
Thank you, Rudolph. Welcome, Your Excellency. We are happy to have you.
Thank you.
Sir, my question borders on the extreme bitterness and hatred in our country. We saw it play out in the elections. Do you think that Nigerians need to come together and sit down and decide on how we want to live as one country, make new rules, or better still, change the rules so that there will be equity and justice for every part of Nigeria, and remove this issue of minority majority, and that will help to secure the country? What do you think it is time for us to start discussing, and we need to do this before going to further elections? That's my question. Thank you, sir.
Well, quite frankly, what you are seeing, I said it before, religion and ethnicity or tribalism are all elite conspiracy for state capture. Majority of Nigerians wants to live together. But we have a state capture. And when people are incompetent, they bring in things that they shouldn't bring in. Today, it's no tribe buys bread cheaper. I've been in the north, they're hungry. I've been in the southwest, they're hungry. I've been in south, they're hungry. However, the elites who have captured the system uses these things to keep us divided. If we have good governance today, where people's talent and hard work will match up the opportunity, these things will go. And we'll start loving each other. But unfortunately, where we found ourselves, this thing has to be there for a while.
All right, Ndubisi, thank you so much. KJ.
Thank you, Governor, Your Excellency. We appreciate what you are doing and what you stand for. I just want to ask you a question. With all that you've said, I'm a bit concerned that your lawyers, they went to the tribunal and didn't have any evidence. Even with all the effort of the media to help them with evidence, the judges said they didn't see any evidence. So, sir, can you confirm why or tell us why your lawyers went there without having evidence?
Well, if you have been in this very, as I told you, I don't want to discuss yesterday. Yesterday is gone. Those who talk about yesterday will miss tomorrow. I'm preoccupied by tomorrow. That exercise has come to an end. It's for you to judge whether they have evidence or not. Even the evidence were physical in the court. The world can see it. But anybody can choose anything he wants. And we have the best of lawyers, the best of legal minds in that country. So it's yesterday.
All right, thank you, KJ. Ed, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Rudolph, and thank you, Governor Peter Obi. So my question is this. So I actually wrote it down. Is there any chance that you might, leave the Labour Party if things remain the way they are now? And also, just from a political point of view, are there lessons you've learned from the last election that you look to probably put to practice as you go into 2027? Because we believe that you're likely going to run again, because now you're going to be up against people who were not the incumbents when you first ran, which is 2023. So are there new things that you've put in place?
Well, every day is a lesson. Every day you learn. And if you learn, you use them very carefully. There might not be things I can tell you here now, but I've learned a lot and I'm going to put them in place. I can tell you that. And the issue of leaving Labour Party or not leaving Labour Party, like I said, we don't know the dynamics on which the elections are going to be conducted going forward. Those dynamics will determine.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Let's go to Osita Demma, Eunice.
Good evening, Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, and it's really a pleasure to finally speak with you one-on-one. I want to take you back a bit to when you were a governor, and I know this question has been asked to you, and that is concerning local government autonomy. I'm of the view that while you've been a great governor, and almost everyone can say about the marvelous things you did in Anambra, but not most of us are not able to identify who the local government chairman were or the caretaker chairman. And the reason I bring this forward is because I've been living in the UK for a long time now. And you can see how the local government work. Development is local. Employment is local. Even the insecurity we're talking about is local. Education is local. So is it not to an extent an aberration that the people find a governor to be more imperative than a local government chairman? And also the thing about how the finances move from the governor, this whole single treasury account, where the state, it's in control of the money which is meant to be for the local government chairman, and at the end rendering the local government chairman useless. So your Excellency, with your experience, what exactly is the problem? Why is it that you, the governors, do not allow local government chairmen to function?
Ostadima, you, quite frankly, thank you. But if you were actually a follower when I was governor, you would have said the local government chairmen were not known. The local government chairmen, our issues were for court case of people thinking governors manipulate local government election. I told you I governed with 30 members, not from my party. They wouldn't allow me to do local government election. But we appointed local government chairmen that everybody knew who they were. Till today, if you ask people who was chairman of this local government when Peter was, they will call their name. And we made sure that the resources of each local government were used for that local government. Let me give you a few examples. If you go to Newi local government, it is during my tenure that they built the new headquarters they're using now. And it was done by Newi local government. If you go to Onitsha local government, it is in my time they built the new headquarters they were using now. It was built by that local government money. If you go to Onitsha South, it is during my tenure they built the headquarters they're using now. It's built by local government. If you go to Dunukofia, I can go on Dunukofia. They never had a headquarters. It's during my time that it was built and it's there. If you go to Oka, I can go on and on. What we did was to ensure that the local government money was used to pay salary, to pay primary school teacher. With the one we brought in, the balance was used to work in that local government. In fact, it was a pride that is not being used. That when I was there, local government chairman, one day, my speaker, who served under me, the PDP, we lost him. And when he was being buried, everybody in the parliament said it was during my tenure that they started doing projects based on local government and constituencies, because I usually would tell to them, I don't have money to give you, but we can do something in your constituency. So you can tell your people you attracted this. But I believe what you're saying, development is local. And we must make the local level work. It is necessary. It is important.
So are you saying that you support
No.
the local government getting their money directly without having to go through the governor? This is where, like, the point where I want to understand.
They've always gotten their money direct. Let nobody tell you it goes through the governor. No. It doesn't. It goes direct to them. In fact, let me even tell you, the law says that 10% of all local income revenue, the state revenue, should be given to local government, in addition to the one they got from Abuja, to be used for development of that local government.
All right. Thank you, Osadima. We rounding up. He has to leave. It's more than 30 minutes over time. So, Reyes, you're next.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Rudolph.
Yeah.
Your Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, it's a pleasure to meet you and be on this platform with you. I must say you are one of the most approachable politicians of our time that we have known in a very long time. And this is one of the major reasons why you see a lot of us actually following and supporting you, because your ways are pretty clear for us to see. My question tonight, Mr. Peter Obi, is we've been following you and we've been seeing the fantastic job you've been doing with the borehole, providing water for people, especially within in the northern area of Nigeria. Now, obviously, just because this is beginning to spark up some other regions saying, is this also going to reach them? So we want to assume that definitely you are moving from the top of the country towards the south. But just want to know if this is also something you plan to do, maybe within the coming times. And then if this is obviously should be one of your plans, then the next thing I want to also ask is, how do we get to support you now in this project you're doing? Because you're doing great. You're doing something some of us would love to do.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much for your comments and for your support. Let me be honest with you. Sir. I was doing this because of the Ramadan fast. Okay. It was in my going to visit people and support them with food and everything that they requested this. Okay. But let me assure you, within the next 2 weeks, today is the 13th, before the end of this month, we are going to come up with what we call challenge, because he has now shown us that there's so many things people can do to actually solve a lot of problems. Because in doing this, we have learned our lessons. And when we do it, I remember, Rudolph, I'm going to hold you responsible to introduce me to Mr. Ray.
Absolutely.
So I will tell you where I want us to do. Somebody asked me today about it, just the same thing. Somebody asked me today, how do I donate money for this? I said, no, don't donate. I will tell you the price and where you're going to put it. Okay. You know, in Nigeria, it's difficult to give people money because what they do with it, you can imagine. You know, they do the least expected. So I always say to people, I'm going to introduce you to do this direct. Even those ones that did, some they say it's not working, I'm going to go back and fix it. But we are going to come up with a
perfect
challenge.
All right. Thank you,
Ray. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr.
The final question we have is Victory. Yeah. Yes.
Good evening, Dr. Rudolph. Can you hear me?
Yes.
And good evening, Peter Obi. It's nice having you on our show.
Thank you.
So my question is, you've been in the corridors of power. Some people consider you to be part of the elite. So my question is that when you speak to your fellow politicians, your fellow governors, and within the political circle, what do you guys actually discuss? Because I don't understand. Like there are other in the developed world, they put their people first. They are bringing out policy that benefit the people in their country. All I see our political elite, what they are doing, they are stealing money, marrying many wives, dancing around, wearing agbada, swinging agbada left to right to center, without putting their people first. Do you think there's a disconnect between the political class and the people? And why do you think they are behaving in that way? Because I simply don't understand why a group of people cannot put their people first. Instead, they prioritize themselves first before the people. Because you've been a governor before. Do you think that when they get into that office, some kind of something possesses them and they go crazy and they simply don't care? What do you think is the answer? Because I don't understand it.
Victory, there's nothing that possesses them. Nothing. Let nobody tell you that anything possesses them. What possesses them is greed. And greed is a part of sickness. People get sick when they get to power because greed must have limits or you're sick. Most of us are sick. And let me tell you, I am part of this elite. We don't discuss the people. So you said they disconnect, total disconnect between us and the people. We don't discuss the people. Otherwise, tell me why we should cease all this suffering and still allow it to thrive. There's a total disconnect. You are very right. That's what we need to do. But the people are also part of the problem. They are insanely complacent. They should also be able to say no. Victory is the only Nigeria people celebrate criminality. If you vote Peter in, everybody knows that when Peter was contesting the election, he doesn't have a house in his village. Then when you vote him, he goes to his village, builds a mansion that he will never could afford ordinarily before he became governor. He will bring all the priests and everything to come and bless it. They will all be there, blessing it and asking God to give him more from wherever he got the money. The people will be there celebrating and praying for him. So rather than call police, because they know where the money is coming from, they know it's stolen their money, they are part of the celebration. So the people are also insanely complacent. The regions are hailing him. Everybody is celebrating. So it's a criminalized society, and everybody is part of it now. And that is what we're trying to preach, to change it. It's not going to be easy. Because why do I generalize and include myself? I read philosophy. Go and read logic. In logic, or a portion of logic they call syllogism, when something is over 75%, you can generalize without committing fallacy of generalization. In Nigeria, it's about 90%, if not more. So I assure you, that is the work we're doing, which we're urging you to join us. The people are disconnected, the leaders are disconnected with the people. We are not fair.
Okay.
All right, Victor, sorry, we have to go. He has no time left. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. Before you leave, I want to say this. You always said, when you were a governor, you always said that that the society we abuse today will take its revenge on our children. Don't you think that you miscalculated? Because it appears as if the revenge is happening while we are still here.
No, it happened. But don't remember that when I said he's taking revenge on his children, it will be worse. Because all this money we are borrowing now, if you go and read it, most of the bonds we're issuing now are payable 1940, 1950, 1960, 2040, 2060. So we won't be there, my brother. There's no way I would want to be here by 1960. Because I'll be about 100 years. So you could see why I'm saying it. Obasanjo left us with less than 10 trillion debts. We're over 100 today. And that's what I'm telling Victory. The people need to question what is happening. So the abuse is coming on, but it will be worse.
Now,
thank you enough for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate you. Remember that this is not what we planned. We wanted 3 hours, but we respect your time. So I hope you'll come back.
It's work in progress.
Yeah.
You know, they say that you come and set up the TV and everything. Since you have set it up,
we have it already.
So that I'll be part of it so that we can continue.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate it.
God bless all of you. But know that we have no other country except this one. And all of us must come collectively and build it for our children.
All right.
God bless you all.
Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and see you next time. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be right back and do